Rosie Roads podcast. Today, we got a special guest, James, whose story is one of resilience and grit. James Norris had a rough start in life, born prematurely and dealing with ce- ce- can you help me out?
Cerebral palsy.
Cerebral palsy. Thank you. So he faced more challenges than most of us can even imagine, but he didn't stop. It didn't stop him. Sports became a passion, giving him a sense of purpose and joy. As he journeyed through life, James found himself in California, where he discovered the incredible impact of fitness on both his body and mind. Through dedication and hard work, he not only transformed his own life, but also started Handy Capable Fitness to help others facing similar challenges. Get ready to be inspired as James shares his journey and reminds us all that with determination and a positive attitude, anything is possible. Thank you, James. How are you? How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Rosie. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. So we met through Instagram, I think maybe 2020 during the COVID times. And
During the pandemic.
yeah, I think I met you through Andrea
Yep,
Bookster.
all,
Uh-huh.
all, all through Clubhouse.
Yes, yes. So here is James. James, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Okay, so as you said, I'm 38 years old, and when I was 2, I was diagnosed with cerebral palsy after a botched hernia surgery. Um, but I give credit to first and foremost my faith and then my family. They never let me use my cerebral palsy as a crutch. In fact, I think they held me to a higher standard because they never wanted me to feel as though that I had an out, so to speak. But that doesn't mean that life didn't come with the challenges even more so than what we face as youth. But um, they really did help me overcome those. And gr growing up after high school, I realized that I wanted to do something in the sports field. I obviously knew that I couldn't play pro or collegiately, so I said, "What's the next best thing?" And I ended up going to broadcasting school where I studied TV and radio broadcasting. Was able to work in Boston radio for about 7 years, and then in California. Southern California for about a year. Then after that, I moved back to Boston after losing my job. But when I lost my job, I lost my identity.
Mhm.
Um, and that's what led me to find fitness after undergoing depression and that sort of thing. And fitness really did save my life, and it saved my life. So I wanted to help impact other people uh, with similar situations, similar challenges, to do the same and to kind of discover their own self through fitness, um, and have it be that vehicle. So.
Yeah, nice. So you discover your identity by working out.
Mhm.
Yeah. And how was that process for you by because I know a lot of people can relate because I remember being a mom and I lost my identity too.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of people out there who's like, who am I? You know?
Uh-huh.
And for you, it started all from working out.
It really did, because growing up, all I wanted to do was work in sports radio. That was my number one goal. I didn't know anything about health or fitness or anything like that. And then, as I just said, when I lost my job, you know, I fell into that depression, and I didn't like the way that my life was going, and I knew I needed to make a change. I just wasn't sure what that change was, and then I ended up. Um, on YouTube, and I would Google or YouTube workouts, and I'd be like, oh yeah, I can do this, I can do that. And then I would go into the gym and I would emulate that. And then finally, a trainer saw me and he's like, listen, you're in here every day doing what you can. Let me design a program around you, your challenges, your goals, and let's see what we can do together. And kind of the rest is history.
Wow. And how long ago was this?
This was probably close to 10 years ago now.
Oh, 10 years ago. Wow. and
Yeah,
not just with fitness, because I see you working out and it is so inspiring, James. Like you are an inspirational person because if you can do it, anybody can do it.
absolutely.
And
That's my number one goal. Our challenges are different, but in all actuality, we're all overcoming something. It's
yes.
just a matter of the mind.
Mm-hmm. And not just with fitness, you also got your, is it like a certificate for scuba diving?
Yes.
Yes. And can you tell me more about that experience?
Yeah, that's it's an amazing experience. So, my best friend, she was the executive director of a military nonprofit out in Oklahoma. We met at her time at Spartan, the ops course racing company, and they made her get scuba certified. And one thing led to another. She kind of fought it tooth and nail, but she ended up doing it. And then it ended up changing her life in such a positive way. And to be honest with you, I got sick of seeing her post all these amazing pictures from all over the world. And I was like, I want to do that. So I went and did what they call a Discover Scuba, which is, um, you put the scuba gear on in the pool and just kind of get used to going underwater and that sort of thing and kind of seeing what you would have to do to see if you would like it. And then one thing led to another. I was like, you know what, I like this. Let's take it a step further. So I did the PADI e-learning, and then I got my adaptive diver certification from another organization, and I just did my first open water dive in Cozumel, Mexico, and it was truly amazing. And I'm heading to Florida in a couple weeks to do it again down in the Florida Keys and then on to Honduras probably in September to do it again. So it's changed my life.
Oh, wow. Not just Mexico. You go to Florida and Mexico?
Yeah,
Or no,
no,
uh
Florida and Honduras,
Honduras.
Roatan,
Yeah.
Roatan. So
Wow. And so scuba diving is like another level that I haven't even thought about because scuba diving sounds
yeah,
a little scary for to me.
yeah, yeah, we're gonna get you in the water.
Yeah. And so what was some of the obstacles that you faced during your learning how to scuba dive?
Well, you know, here's a big one. I don't know how to swim, or I didn't know how to swim. So that was a big one. But in scuba diving, you don't really, it's helpful to know how to swim, but you don't necessarily need to. But I would probably say the biggest hurdle was um just getting past your brain telling you, hey, we're not meant to breathe underwater here.
Mm.
Um, and in fact, I did two of those Discover Scuba events, one in Dallas and then another one in Oklahoma. And the first one in Dallas, I couldn't go under the water because my brain was freaking out because it was saying like, "Hey, we're not supposed to be breathing underwater. What are you doing?" type of thing. Um, and then my best friend who I spoke of, she called me one night and she's like, "Hey, if you can get here by 5 o'clock tomorrow night or whatever, you can do another Discover Scuba event." So I hung up the phone, booked the ticket right away. And then at that event, I was able to sit at the bottom of the pool for about 20 minutes. And then I found out that there was an organization that was doing a dive trip to Cozumel. So I kind of did everything a little bit backwards, a little bit, because most people, they do their e-learning and then they do their certifications, prior to going on dive trips. And I did that, but I booked the dive trip first. And then I was like, okay, we're doing this. So now I have to do all my e-learning and stuff like that, which I did. But most people, when they book their dive trips, they've already done that.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. That's amazing. And then the handicapable fitness, that's such a like amazing initiative. What inspired you to start it and what do you hope it achieves?
I realized that I've been given a lot in life, through a lot of different people in a lot of different circles, whether that be through fitness trainers, teachers, different mentors that I've had, and you know, I've led a great life. And the hope for Handicapable is for people to realize that yes, you might have a disability, um, but that's a piece of you, but it's not the entire thing. And you can actually get out, do things like go to the gym, do jujitsu, scuba dive, all these different things. Yes, you have to take into consideration your disability, but at the end of the day, it shouldn't be a barrier that stops you. Um, so our goal at Handicapable Fitness is to help individuals with disabilities get access to the things that are going to help them live that active lifestyle that they desire. So we provide grants for, wheelchairs, medical equipment, gym memberships, scuba gear, whatever somebody comes to us with, basically, as long as it's in the realm of physical fitness and bettering themselves. That's what we want to help bridge the gap and get them in the water or get them in the gym and get them doing what it is that they're passionate about.
Oh, wow. That's such a great organization there for you to give back. That feels amazing.
Absolutely. If you would have told me 10 years ago that these are the things that I would be doing, I would have looked at you like you're crazy. So it's been quite a wild ride for sure.
Yeah. And with like the finding yourself and finding your identity, what else has helped you besides working out?
You know what? Just surrounding myself with people that are where I want to be or they've been where I am, and being around positive people. And it's not to compare myself to Rosie because she's over here doing this. Um, it's to say, okay, Rosie started this successful podcast and she's done all these amazing things. So how can I take and learn from her and implement it into the things that I'm doing? And then there might be bits and pieces that I take from you that don't work on my journey and in my path, but at least, I'm being exposed to those different things. And then the biggest thing is, we when we've reached a certain point, I don't think there's ever a endpoint to success because the it's nonlinear all the time, right? So you know, I consider my radio career, successful for what it was. But that chapter's ended. Now it's fitness turn, and you might talk to me in 10 years, and I'm on a completely different path. So there's different levels to success in different areas, and I think it's our responsibility as a human race to, look back behind us and not give somebody a hand out, but a hand up and help pave the way like others have paved the way for you and I and what we've done. Because at the end of the day, we can work hard, we can have the ambition, we can have all the things, but we didn't get to where we've gotten to on our own.
Ooh, yeah. And your parents played a role in this.
Hmm.
How so how has that helped you?
You know what? Like I said in the opener, growing up as a kid, if I ended up getting a bad grade in school or whatever, I mean, they didn't beat me or anything, but I definitely I def I definitely had to answer to them and then I had to oh excuse- then I had to get on the phone and call my grandparents, call my aunts and uncles, just to be held accountable because they they knew that I had something special in me despite having the cerebral palsy, and they never wanted me to use that or think of that as an obstacle to get in the way. So they really pushed me to do well academically. And then when I was down and out, they picked me up, gave me the hugs, gave me all the things, but they did a great job of, you know, um, like towing the line of tough love, but then also, you know, picking me up, dusting me off, and saying, "Okay, get back in there. Let's go. You got this. You're not alone." Type of thing. And they were my advocates before I was able to advocate for myself in terms of doctors and physical therapists and helping me get all the equipment. And they gave me all the tools necessary so that I could thrive in my own way.
Ooh, your parents are amazing. Shout outs to your mom and dad. Thank you guys. You guys did an amazing job.
Thank you.
Oh, James, you are such a beautiful soul. And I remember when I was doing 75 hard, James also did 75 hard. And if you don't know what 75 hard is, 75 hard is Annie Priscilla's um, challenge or thing where it is you got to, for 75 days, you do 2 workouts, one inside, one outside for 45 minutes, drink a gallon of water, eat clean, take a daily photo, progress photo. Am I missing anything else?
No alcohol.
Oh, yeah, no alcohol. And you had to do that for 75
Oh,
days. And
oh, and you had
oh,
to read
read.
pages in a book.
Yes, read 10 pages of a book. And if you miss any of those one time, you have to restart all over.
Yeah.
And here is James. I'm seeing James in his front yard. It's like snowing outside, and he's working out outside, like in the cold, snowing weather.
Yeah. Yeah, it was not very pleasant. Uh but it taught me a lot, and it's like I said, I think we learn the best when we put ourselves in uncomfortable situations, right? Um, you know, it's funny, and I was having this conversation yesterday with a friend of mine. When we set out to do something, whether it's to go to the gym or to start a business, whatever it is, it always seems so insurmountable. But then we get over the hump, and we look back and we're like, not that it wasn't difficult, but we're like, man, I remember day one thinking, how the heck am I going to get through this? Here I am now, and I have my own business. But it's so funny how our mind likes to play tricks on us. The obstacle that's in our way at that very moment seems like no obstacle we've ever faced before. Then we get over it, and we're like, or we might not even get over it, right? We might quote unquote fail 75 hard or whatever, but it's about what it is that you've learned and how you've changed as a person throughout the process. So that if you choose to do something like 75 hard again, you're like, okay, well, I struggled with drinking my gallon of water. Um, so that was the biggest hang up for me. So I'm gonna make it bulletproof, and I'm gonna put 3 bottles of water by my bed. And I'm gonna wake up at 3, chug them, and try to get the water done by noon. That way, I don't have to keep going to the bathroom all day. And then I know that that hurdle's done and out of the way. But it's really interesting how, like I said, whenever we start something new and try to create new habits or achieve new things, it always seems so insurmountable. But at the end of the day, it wouldn't be put on our plate if we weren't meant to do it or we weren't meant to learn something from it.
Yeah, because you do learn a lot about yourself when you go into any challenge,
Hmm.
like drinking a gallon of water, like you got to get up all the time to go pee.
Oh, that
Uh,
I might as well just stay in the bathroom at that.
yeah.
That was the worst part and the hardest part about that
Yeah.
whole it was miserable.
Yeah.
And then it'd be 10 o'clock and you realize, oh, I didn't drink my water today, so you're drinking 48 ounces of water right before you go to bed.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what advice would you give to your younger self
Mm. Um,
that's like was like at the lowest point what would you tell him?
Everything's going to be okay.
Everything is going to be okay. Why?
Because there were some dark times, and I thought it was, it wasn't suicidal or anything like that, but it was the darkest place that I've ever been. And but I realized, going back to like the 75 hard challenge and the scenario I just laid out, the things I've learned and the people that I've met, and all the things that I've had the opportunity to learn from, that stuff only happened because I went through that that quote unquote dark time. You know, I was supposed to be in that dark time so I could lean on my faith, so that my faith could open up the doors to help me meet the people that I was supposed to meet, so that they could get me into rooms that could open up more opportunities for me, or at least present me with the opportunities. And then it was up to me to take the ball and run with it. So everything's going to be okay. Like I said, when we're in the midst of a challenge and we're in the midst of a dark time, that is the darkest it's ever been, or that's what it seems like to our human self, right? But 9 times out of 10, we look back, and not to say that it's not hard, but we're like, oh, that it really wasn't that bad, or if it was, I'm proud of myself for getting through it, type of thing.
Yeah. I love what you say of, everything's going to be all right, because I also have a mantra that I say to myself, when times are hard, like everything's always working out. Everything
Hmm.
is always working out for us. We may not see it in the moment in time where it's dark and we're struggling and we're suffering. Like we don't see, you know, um, we can't see it, but
Exactly.
everything is always working out for us, whether
L-
we know it or not.
lead by faith, not by sight. Because if we
Yeah.
try to by sight, we will not see the vision.
Yeah.
Um, but also too, I wanna make sure that I make it clear and say to people out there that if you are going through a dark time, you are not alone, and it's okay to speak up, because you know we we are so much alike that we think we're the only ones, right? When we're going through something, but then we open up and we share whatever the problem or the struggle is, and people are like, "Oh my God, me too." And then next thing you know, you bond over that, or they've already gone through some semblance of that, so they can give you pointers and ideas on how they got through it, or you're giving them pointers and ideas to get through their own struggle. So we struggle recognizes struggle. So I don't know what it's like to have some of your struggles, but you don't know what it's like to have cerebral palsy or something else that I've been presented with. But at the end of the day, there's only a couple of things that matter, and it's that struggle recognizes struggle, and that when it's all said and done, all we want and all we're really looking for, no matter the skin color, gender, anything like that, we want to know that our life and our time here on this spinning ball meant something.
Life is very precious, and we're, like you said, we're here on earth for a limited time.
Hmm.
Is how are you going to live your life? You have the remote control to access whatever channel you want to go to.
Hmm.
That's meaning, like, if you want to try something, go for it. Try it out.
What's
And
what's what's the worst that can happen?
yeah, I mean, I tried many things in life, and to realize um I didn't know if I had to try it to find out if I liked it or not.
100%.
And this is where my life led me, is right in here, right now with you, James.
Exactly. Exactly. And I'm thankful for it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, dealing with life, there's like obstacles and challenges and fun times. And And for me, I'm really big into forgiveness since I forgave the man that pulled the trigger that killed my father. And I wrote to him and told him, that I forgave him years later.
Hmm.
So, how do you deal with like mistakes or guilt or like shame? Like, how do you deal and overcome with that?
You know what? It's my faith, and I think I agree a lot with what you just said. One, I want to commend you for doing what you did. And as, as much as, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, sorry, you disappeared. Um, but as as much as, you know, that person thought that you were forgiving them for what it is that they did to your father, you were doing it for yourself, and and you were able to let go of something. So oftentimes when we forgive people, yeah, they get the benefit of being forgiven, but oftentimes it's for us, because if we don't do it, then we hold on to something, and it's always in the back of our mind. But now when you lay your head on the pillow at night, you're like, okay, I did the best I could to forgive. Now it's in God or the Creator's hands, or whatever it is that you wanna put there. Um, so I think it's not always easy, and it takes time, but I think forgiveness is a very necessary thing.
Yes, it is very necessary. And for me to forgive, I forgave myself to it. And it's to me, it's like showing the world, like, how can this role move on? How can this other guy, man, uh, move on in this role? Just knowing that he did something very terrible, but for him is forgive him himself. I may have
Exactly.
forgiven him, but it's him that he has to
Exactly.
learn through to forgive himself.
100%.
And
A
how
hundred.
do you, yeah, and for you, like how do you forgive yourself or um
Um, you know what? That is a really good question. And I just think it goes back to like what we just talked about. Because I realized that, hey, listen, you know, um, it's not always going to be perfect, but I know the freedom that comes from doing it. So the things that hurt are the things that we have to do. Um,
yes.
and it might be painful. It might, but it's just like ripping a Band-Aid off, and it's like you rip the Band-Aid off, and it's gonna hurt for about 10 seconds, but then it's gonna feel fantastic afterward, you know. But it's just getting past that initial shock and that initial pain.
Yeah, I love the analogy of using the band-aid because when you open a wound, it rips, it hurts.
Yep.
But then
Yep.
you're there staring at the wound. And
Exactly.
and the wound, what does it need to heal? Like our body knows how to heal itself if we give it space and time.
Yep.
And
Mm.
then and with forgiveness, it's space and time. It doesn't just happen like overnight thing. No, it's
Nope.
space and time to heal this wound and letting your body just give it space to let it do its job.
Yep. And I mean, I don't want to open up a wound and overstep my bounds, and because I don't know the whole situation, but maybe that man that did that was really grappling with it for years. Like, oh my gosh, I didn't mean to do it, you know, or whatever, right? And then being that you forgave him and kind of stepped up and did that, maybe that gave him permission to forgive himself, or if he hasn't done that yet, maybe he'll reflect on it and be like, well, shoot, I didn't mean to do that. This person forgave me, so that gives me permission to forgive myself, so to speak.
Yes, yes, you nailed it. And he is actually uh out
Oh, wow.
from prison. Yeah. And I'm just waiting for him when he's ready to come on this podcast too.
Oh, let's go. Let's go. I'm definitely gonna have to check out that episode for sure.
Yeah. So faith plays a big role in your life.
Huge.
Yeah. Yeah. And to somebody that doesn't believe in faith,
Hmm.
I think you think there's people there that don't have faith in them? So yeah, they're
Oh, 100% there are. Um, you know, and everybody kind of has to get there throughout their own journey. But you know, it's kind of funny. As I was scuba diving,
Mhm.
um, you know, I was under the water and I'm like, man, people that don't believe in a higher power, God, like whatever it is that you want to call it at the time, they really need to come down here and do this, because it's a completely different world down there. I mean, and it just vibrant colors and all the animals and how the animals interact with each other, and then just the peace and quiet that's there. I mean, you know, we struggle with all the commotion of, okay, we got to pick up the kids from soccer practice. We got to get this proposal in for this for this business contract. We got to return these emails, those emails. Well, when you're underwater, it's quiet.
It's quiet.
And and we we started this podcast with a little bit of breath work. That's exactly what scuba diving does, because it's just you and your breath, and
Mm.
you just hear the bubbles of your own breathing, and it just calms you down. But there, I mean, there's different modalities for people to get there. I mean, they can get there through fitness, they can get there through writing, they can get there through yoga, they can get there through scuba diving. But again, it's just finding something that works for you and realizing that there's a bigger life is bigger than just the world that we live in, our neighborhoods, our towns, our states, and you know, it's up to us to find out whatever works for us.
That is so true. It is up to us to find out what works for us.
Hmm.
And I feel like our life are is always calling us, you know? Like we have the internal compass, which is our heart. Like
Hmm.
I use my heart as my compass of which direction should I lean towards or go to.
Absolutely.
And and with faith too.
Yep.
Faith and believing that there's something greater out there that's we can't even imagine. But
Well, I mean, to build off of that point that you just made,
yeah.
you know, people people will often come up to me and they'll be like, "Oh man," because I use an electric wheelchair to get around, usually day to day, and people are like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry," and I'm like, "No, don't be sorry, because the cerebral palsy had to happen because it was the vehicle to get me to where it is that I am today, to interact with the people that I'm interacting with, and being fortunate enough to make a positive impact on, or vice versa, you know, the people that have made a positive impact on me. But cerebral palsy, what was the vehicle? I'm not mad at it, because it's really opened up so many doors that I otherwise couldn't even imagine.
Oh,
So,
yeah. And let me add on to that because I feel like when I like for me having my dad murdered when I was 7 years old, that
hmm.
was the vehicle for me too.
Hmm.
That was a gift that my dad left behind, and it was forgiveness. Because without
Absolutely.
discovering who I am, I had to go through that forgiveness to be here today and doing what I need to do to help this planet,
100%.
like our mission. And we all have different vehicles, like you said too. And I'm glad that you point that out because, like when people, hear like, oh, you lost your dad, I said, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm like, "Oh, it's okay now, because It is okay. I'm
Yeah,
totally fine. Like my family were all good, but it was that vehicle that my soul needed to evolve.
absolutely. Absolutely. And um it's sometimes it takes some really dark times like that to be like, okay. And I mean, I give you credit for being willing to. I mean, you were only 7 when that happened, so you had to grow up, but you embraced that inner work and that struggle and the pain that it took to get to where it is that you needed to be. But you slowly learned, I would assume, that light was on the other side of that and that you were going to be okay. Or even if you didn't know that necessarily light was going to be on that other side, you were just being called to do something bigger, and it all started with that inner work.
Yes, absolutely. Our life is always calling us. Is are you going to stop and listen to
Hmm.
whatever it is that's calling you right now? And if you don't know what's calling you, like listen, slow down, sit in silence and listen to your heart. What
Absolutely.
is your heart saying? What is your heart speaking to you? What is your heart wanting to express?
Yep. I mean, and honestly, that's why I love fitness so much, and I love the whole scuba diving thing because it's just it's you versus you in the gym, and you're just slowing down, and it's that mental time away. But then, when you get underwater, like I said before, it's quiet and it gives you that time to get away from the hustle and bustle and really take it in and say, okay, God, universe, whatever it is, what are you trying to say to me here? What's my next step? What's my next direction? I'm ready, I'm willing, and my heart is open to receive and my ears are open to listen.
Ooh, I love that. My heart is open to receive and my ears are open to listen.
Yep.
I love that, James. You are such you're a man of like wisdoms and words and you just flow easily. Well, thank you for, taking the time to speak with me today. Is there anything
Absolutely.
else you want to like end with for our listeners?
No, if anybody would like to find out more about Handicapable and Handicapable Fitness and the work that we do, want to get involved, or if anybody needs any sort of help, wants any other questions answered, if they have kids that are, in about fourth, fifth, sixth grade, or a little bit younger. I do have a couple kids books that are available on Amazon, but and also on the website. So that is handicapablefitness.com. So it's HANDICAPABLE fitness.com. And there they can find our grants, how to donate, where to get the books. They can email me if they have any questions. If you email me, I am the person that responds to all the emails. So you will be talking to me, and I look forward to helping you.
Yeah, and where are you based at? Boston, you said?
Boston, yes.
Boston. Nice. Oh my gosh, thank you, James. This is such a inspiring and touching conversation and to get to know you a little bit more and to learn about your scuba diving trip. It's so inspiring. It's
Th-
so inspiring.
Thank you so much, Rosie. I really do appreciate it. And it's like I said to you earlier in the conversation, we haven't gotten to where we've gotten without the help of other people. And I just appreciate you giving me the platform to come on here, share my story, but also you being vulnerable enough to open up about a little bit about your story, because we never know who exactly that's going to help. And at the end of the day, that's what life's about. It's about helping other people because that's ironically when we get our own cup filled.
Yes, I love that. Oh, one more question before I go.
Yes.
What what is self-care to you? What do you do for self-care or self-love? Self-love, self-care?
Well, um, you know what? That's a good question. I love to um travel, you know. I love to just kind of get away, turn my phone off. Um, technology is great. I mean, that's how we met and everything. But it's nice to just sit in silence, work out, just travel, see new things, experience new cultures, and again, just learn and create human connection with people. Human connection is a huge thing with me. So I like to be around people that are uplifting, positive, and just have inspiring stories because I can pull something. And like I said before, I can't necessarily say that everything's going to resonate, but things stick with me. And I can be like, oh, I remember that conversation with Rosie. Now I'm in this conversation with this person. Let me pass on that advice to them. Um, so it's constantly learning, podcasting, all of the different things.
I love that, James. Thank you so much. And I'll leave all of James' info in the bio, in the link, and reach out to James. He's on Instagram, and you can email him. And where else are you on? What other platforms?
Uh, Facebook and I we do have a YouTube channel that there's some videos on there. I've done a couple different Spartan races, rock climb, skied, um, scuba dived. You can see the scuba diving video on there. So would definitely love for you guys to check all that out. And again, if we can do anything to help you, we are here to serve. So
All right, sounds good. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. And this is James Norris. All right, thank you guys. Bye.
thank you, Rosie.